Today, we're diving into the incredible story of a place that was, quite literally, a beacon of knowledge for the entire world, long before many of today's most famous universities even existed. This is the epic of Nalanda. All right, let's just jump right in. I want you to try and picture this with me, a massive, sprawling university campus. But we're not in the 21st century. We're way back in the 5th century. Just imagine a place buzzing with intellectual energy, pulling in the brightest minds from all over the known world. And get this ancient university, it provided completely free education. And I don't just mean tuition, I'm talking free housing, free clothing, and even free food for every single one of its 10,000 students. It sounds almost impossibly modern, right? Well, this place was absolutely real. It was called Nalanda, and its story is one of breathtaking achievement, devastating tragedy, and, believe it or not, a remarkable modern-day quest for rebirth. So, how did a place like this even come to be? Let's go all the way back to the beginning, to its founding and the incredible philosophy that would shape it for centuries to come. You know, the name itself tells you everything you need to know. Nalanda. It comes from the Sanskrit na alam da, which basically translates to no restriction on the gift of knowledge. Its entire purpose was right there in its name, the free, unending flow of wisdom to all. And wow, what a run it had. Founded around 450 AD, it's shown as a global center of learning for an astonishing 800 years. To put that into perspective, that's a longer lifespan than many modern countries have had. But tragically, that brilliant light was violently put out in the year 1193. But before its tragic fall, Nalanda wasn't just a university. It was the world's undisputed capital of knowledge. The scale of this place is, and I'm not exaggerating here, simply mind-boggling. Let's start with the people. At its absolute peak, Nalanda was home to 10,000 students. And these weren't just locals. They were the sharpest minds from all across Asia and beyond, from as far away as China, Korea, Tibet, and even Persia, all making that incredibly difficult journey to get an education they couldn't find anywhere else. And who was teaching these 10,000 students? A faculty of 2,000 professors. Yeah, you heard that right. That's a student-teacher ratio of 5-to-1. For comparison, Harvard University today has a ratio of about 7-to-1. This was an incredibly personal and rigorous education, even by today's most elite standards. But the real heart of the university, its true center of gravity, was the library. It was known as the Chakla of religion, or the realm of truth. It was a library complex so vast, its tallest building soared an incredible 9 stories into the sky. And what was inside that 9-story library? An estimated 9 million manuscripts and books. 9 million. It was, without a doubt, the single greatest collection of knowledge anywhere in the world. A treasure of human thought that is just beyond all measure. And don't think this was just some monastery. The curriculum was incredibly broad and way ahead of its time. Of course, they studied religious texts like the Vedas, but they also dug deep into secular subjects like logic, philosophy, grammar, astronomy, and even a really sophisticated school of medicine and Ayurveda. So when you put all these pieces together, you start to see just how revolutionary Nalanda really was. It was the world's first international residential university. Admission wasn't based on your family or your wealth, it was based on merit, proven through some seriously tough entrance exams. And if you got in, everything was free. And maybe most remarkable of all, it was run on a democratic system of consensus. It was a true republic of the mind. But this 800-year golden age came to a brutal, sudden, and tragic end. And the story of its destruction, well, it's a tough one. It wasn't born from a quest for knowledge, but from simple, ugly pride and jealousy. It all starts with a Turkish ruler named Bakhtiar Khilji. He became terribly ill, and his own court physicians, the best he had, were completely stumped. They couldn't cure him, and things were getting pretty desperate. So someone suggested he seek help from an acharya, a master scholar from Nalanda's famous medical school. Khilji agreed, but his pride created this impossible condition. He refused to take any Indian medicine. He wanted to be cured, but without admitting that their science could be the thing to save him. The Nalanda scholar was ingenious. He gave Khilji a copy of the Quran and just asked him to read a few pages every day. What Khilji had no idea about was that the scholar had applied a colorless, odorless medicine to the edges of the pages. So as the ruler licked his finger to turn the page, he was ingesting the medicine. And in a matter of days, he was cured. But instead of being grateful, Khilji was filled with this furious jealousy. His pride was completely shattered. How could these scholars possess knowledge so far beyond his own people? And that envy quickly twisted into a destructive, burning rage. In a horrific act of cultural vandalism, Khilji and his army rode down on Nalanda and set fire to the great library. Those 9 million manuscripts, the collective wisdom of centuries, all went up in flames. It's said the fire burned for 6 solid months before the last of the embers finally went cold. Now, it's worth noting this wasn't actually the first time Nalanda had been attacked. It had been damaged and rebuilt twice before in its long history, which just shows you how resilient it was. But this third destruction, this one by Khilji, it was absolute. The university was completely and utterly wiped out. For almost 1,000 years, the story of Nalanda was pretty much just that, a memory of a lost golden age. But the story doesn't actually end there. In our time, an incredibly ambitious project is underway to bring Nalanda back to life. But the new Nalanda isn't just a copy of the old one, it's a reimagining of that ancient spirit for our modern world. So where the original had a Buddhist affiliation, the new university is completely secular. The focus has shifted from ancient scriptures to modern challenges, like economics and sustainable development. And its support comes not from local kings, but from a global coalition of nations. And this rebirth is a truly global effort. It was championed by figures like Nobel laureate Amartya Sen, and it's backed by the East Asia Summit, countries like India, China, Japan, Singapore, even the US. They're planning collaborations with some of the world's top universities, from Yale to Peking University. The goal is to create a new center of excellence for the 21st century. And this really brings us to the final big question. After centuries of silence, a great name is being revived. But can this new university truly capture the profound spirit of the old, that unrestricted gift of knowledge, and once again become a beacon of learning that illuminates the entire world? Only time will tell.